Whoa, that took a long time. What's that? Oh, a minute. A minute past the time. But of course, this feed is going to Los Angeles and coming back, so maybe that's the issue. But welcome, welcome. This is Jane Gardner of jane-gardner.com. And I am here. I am here to do Build Your Business in 52 Weeks. This is week 35, and I'm amazed it's week 35, implementing your brand. So welcome. Today we're going to be talking about your brand because we have 15 principles that if you use them, you will build your business. So let's get started with the presentation. You don't need to know any more about me because if you need to know about me, you can go look at my website. So we're doing Build Your Business, Implement, Get into Action and Grow. And we have 15 principles, and to do this, we have talked for several weeks about developing your core principles, your entrepreneurial mindset, developing your brand, positioning yourself as an educator, doing a weekly workshop, building a product snowball, develop a strategic marketing framework, create a content factory, build a massive network, become a media mogul, get into production mode, build a learning center, create an online community, raise and build an affiliate fans, and put systems in place so that you can have the freedom for your business to grow while you have your freedom lifestyle. So today we're talking about brand. We are talking about your brand. And your brand is, you need to know what your business is and your message before you do anything with your website or social media, right? In order to develop your brand and who you are. But just get started developing your brand as it can change easily over time. But we talked about previously more in depth about what is a brand. And you may be surprised to learn that for me, a brand is your promise, your commitment, and what you stand for in your business. I'll credit Darren Scott Monroe for that. And your mission statement is about what your business stands for. It is not your logo, your colors. It is what everyone who visits your business should know about your business. So your messaging is your brand. It comes from your values and standards in your business. And we talked about our core values previously and developing those in all departments of your business, whether it's your learning center or your weekly workshop. You can also, of course, use your brand to brand all your weekly workshops and your learning center to make it consistent. And so people get to know you and your business. Now, how are you going to implement your brand voice? Well, now you have your brand voice defined, which we did in a previous episode. It's time to implement it. So we have to have a consistent experience of your brand, and we have to identify the marketing channels where your audience will connect. So if they're not on Facebook, don't go on Facebook. If they're not on Tumblr, don't go on Tumblr. You have to decide where your audience is. Now, you need to brand your internet presence, your post-sale communications, your video content, your live interactions, your print materials, your packaging, and your employees should all know what your brand stands for and stands against so that they are consistent with how they deal with the customer. But you need to, of course, brand your internet presence. So your website, your blog, your social media profiles, or any content you publish online, it should all be consistent with your brand. It should be in your brand colors. I mean, I have nothing against your brand colors or your logo. I just mean that your brand is not just your colors and your logo. It is what you stand for and stand against in your business. For example, I feel that in order to connect with other people, I need to be on camera, whereas others may not. So that's part of my brand. For post-sales communications, you can make sure that your receipts, your shipping information, your support team, your thank you emails, your follow-up emails, your emails that you communicate on a daily basis with people, all are branded and consistent with your brand. So if you believe that the customer is always right, then you should be making sure that they know that you feel that. You can, of course, use it physically by adding text to your receipts, like and your guarantee and that kind of thing, in order to make them aware of what you stand for and stand against. And then we can look at our video content, whether it's YouTube videos or LinkedIn videos or webinars like this, or trainings or appearances on the video of others. You have to be consistent. You have to be always aware of your brand and what you stand for and stand against, and not reflect opposite to what you want to reflect, because that will not be consistent with your brand. So you have to be on brand whenever you encounter members of the public. So whether you're speaking, or you're on a webinar, or you're in a trade show, you have to make sure that your brand is consistent and people know that this person has this values, principles, and also they have a brand that is going to be what you stand for and stand against, of course. As well, your print materials. And of course, this is the simplest thing when people think of brand, is your print materials, like your promotional materials, your brochures, your flyers, your packaging, your paperwork. All of that should be consistent with your brand. And obviously the colors and the logo, it's important to have these things, but it's not the most important thing. So you have to develop a brand which will work with your business. And your packaging has to reflect the core values of the company and be consistent with your overall tone of your business. So, of course, you can put some of your core values on your packaging. So mine is visibility, consistency, and authenticity. Well, I could just put that as 3 words on my packaging as one of they're my core values, or I could use a statement like imperfect action is better than no action. Your taglines, whatever you want to do with your business and make it consistent, you can also put it on your packaging. And of course, for you as the employer and your employees, you need to have guidelines for your employees when they're communicating with your customers as well as with each other. You should always develop, obviously, relations, rules, guidelines for your business, and make sure that they also have a customer support system that is consistent with your brand. If you decide that your policy is if someone's unhappy with the product, they get an immediate refund, or they get of the money but they can keep the product, for example, say that's your rule, then your employees have to know that these are your rules and these are to be consistent. We don't want to have employees arguing with people on customer support, or having an inconsistent policy with your business, because your policies for your business, your brand for your business will be different from someone else. So you have to list all of your core values, as well as your mission statement and your guidelines for any employee, as well as your policies for your employees, so that they know how to deal with your customers. And of course, communications with other businesses. Whether or not you talk with other businesses, or you partner, or you collaborate, you have to keep on brand when communicating with them. You have to be able to know that your core values are being dealt with when you work with other people. So that is very important, especially on the internet these days, because there is a lot of spamming, hackers, black hat, all that kind of inconsistent people who don't do refunds, people who run away, etc. All, there's always lots of bad stories about customer relations and brands not working the way they should in terms of business, and that are consistent. And certainly as we go further with this internet, I'm sure there will be more regulations and policies that will certainly make it easier for people to feel comfortable with brands. And I'll just tell you a little story today. I have a show on Blog Talk Radio. I'm sort of talking about a baby boomer business. And one of the ways to get awareness for it was, of course, to send it to Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr was the other one. So I click on the Facebook one. Now I'm just talking about baby boomer business. I don't have anything up to date, news or anything like that. But when I went to share it to Facebook, it told me that Canadian news is not available to be shared on Facebook. Well, I was not thrilled at that idea. For one, I'm not news, and for the other is I'm not news. So, so obviously they've got that wrong. And I don't really care if they don't want to have my value. Then that's up to Facebook. Yes, I am Canadian. I guess I should mention that. So that's the first time I've experienced that thing that they're having with the Canadian government and all that, affecting Canadian news and not sharing because they don't want to, well, anyway, I don't want to get into that. My point being is, this is not helping their brand for them to be doing this sort of petty thing where they're doing this, and of course not getting into, and of course there've been other issues. So you have to be very aware of what's happening with your brand at all times, whether you're on another platform or you're communicating with another platform. Always make sure that you're consistent with how your brand is working, and if it's not consistent, make sure that you go and find out why and deal with it. And the only dealing with that will be, I will not be sharing it to Facebook. So the brand voice, which we've been talking about when we develop our brand, has been very it's very powerful for storytelling, and storytelling can bring your brand voice and tone to life. They're great for conveying values and creating a personal experience and engendering trust and developing a connection. So I told you a story about Facebook, and I could tell you many stories about Facebook and other streaming platforms, as well as social media platforms, but I'm going to leave that for my book. So I will have a book on that rather than spending a lot of your time today. But I gave you one story on Facebook, which happened to me today. So the story types that you can use, of course, are your customer stories. That people love to know that people have had success with your business, product development stories, personal stories, employee stories, and case studies. Case studies and customer stories are very powerful in making other people feel more comfortable with your brand. So these are ones you should really develop for sure. And of course, people love to hear about progress and what's happening in your business, as well as, of course, personal stories. And storytelling can be used in all areas of marketing. They don't have to be long. I hope that Facebook story wasn't too long. It can be an anecdote or a bit of humor in a blog post. Pick stories and wording that reinforces your brand tone and voice. I have been told that I am basically a quiet presenter. So that's sort of I'm not going to be one that shouts in a presentation. So there we go. That's my tone and voice. And you need to create brand voice guidelines to take all the research and planning you've done and put in a document that team members can use and contain everything they need to know and be concise. And I already talked about how you should know that. Put down all your mission and your core values and what you stand for and stand against and your mission, and make sure that your employees all know what your guidelines are so that when they're dealing with customers, they know what to do when issues come up. Because one bad customer relations will spread like wildfire, whereas good customer relations don't spread as fast. So always make sure you're keeping your customer happy. Include everything about your customer persona and brand tone and language and who they are, and make sure it's a PDF or easily shared document and divided into sections. Be thorough and complex, but offer summaries. Be specific and give examples. And show examples of what not to do. I think that's the most important, is to show examples of what not to do when you're dealing with a customer, because you don't want them to have an unhappy experience with your business. And specify differences in voice between channels with examples. So if you want people in your customer service to be polite but brief and not too personal, you have to make sure that you tell them that. And the guidelines should be written in your brand tone to create consistency. And make sure things are done thoroughly and involve employees. Get feedback from customers where necessary to find out where your brand stood out or didn't stand out and how you can change it. And provide team members and anyone else involved with a copy of the guidelines, and offer training to go over every part and ensure everything is understood. And allow for questions to make sure everyone is on the same page. Implement training as part of onboarding your team members, and put someone in charge of ensuring consistency and implementation of guidelines. Now, if every business could do that, we wouldn't have any of these problems that businesses have with human relations, because if everybody knows what the company stands for, they should know how they deal with people. And create a process for regularly reviewing your materials, and it changes and evolves over time. So the conclusion is that, believe it or not, your brand will be part of your action plan, and it will include guidelines. It will be quite a detailed document about how you deal with your employees, your customers, with communicating on social media, etc., in order to make a consistent brand voice. So remember, the key is to create consistency because it earns trust, and your voice should always reflect your values. Keep in mind there will be challenges, and yes, you'll have complications, but you should have something in your guidelines which deals with how you have a challenge or a complication so that it can be dealt with quicker. And include what is absolutely necessary. Strip it down to the essentials. Provide plenty of examples to explain anything that's unclear. So there you go. We have learned why it's important to define and develop a unique brand voice. A 4-step process that was in a previous episode on identifying your brand voice. And today we talked about implementing your brand voice and your unique brand voice style, tone, and language, and how to implement it and write it down as a document so that everyone in your business knows what you stand for, what you stand against, what is your commitment, what is your values, and what is your mission. So basically, if we look at build your business and your brand, you're looking at developing your core values. And we talked about your mindset and your brand. So, what you're doing is putting together a brand that will position yourself as an educator, as well as making sure your brand is consistent and is developed and known and in your weekly workshops, in your products that you sell, in your strategic marketing, as well as your content factory, social media posts, and you people know who you are in your network, and you become focused in one media, get into production mode, build a learning center, create an online community, and build an affiliate fans. Once people know what your brand is and who you are and what you stand for and stand against and your brand voice, these will make it easier for them to have a relationship with you, whether it's as an affiliate or a partner, and this will make your business grow. So your brand is all within how you develop growing your business and becoming the business that you want in your business. So if you want to join and see the other free trainings, you can join at http://jgtips.com/BYB free, and you will get on a list where you will get an email on how to register and look at the other 34 trainings. And in those trainings, you can pick which you want to look at, although really consistency would be good that you go through them one at a time. But if you're most interested in brand, you can go back and each one is titled so you can figure out which is which. And next week, we'll be developing the idea of being an educator. And if you want to join the Facebook group, it's at Implement Club. You can do a search for it there in the groups. And yeah, that's it for today. Let me get myself back on camera to prove I'm still here. So yeah, you can join for free trainings at the there's I think there's 30 right now. I haven't put in the other 2 yet. Trainings on building your business. So this is the 3rd time around. Going deeper into each of them. I think we basically developed and finished brand, because implementing and making a document about your brand and what you stand for and stand against, and for your employees and yourself, that's really important for your business. So I think we've done brand, and for now we're going to go on to, how shall I say this? Proving to you that you need to be an educator and do a weekly workshop next